As the pain of his loss subsided, Lautaro realized that the shard of defiance embedded in his heart since the death of his parents remained intact. Despite losing so many men and seeing his allies waver, he stood resolute. He had not surrendered when Valdivia forced him into servitude, and he would not give up now. Caupolicán and Galvarino remained steadfast in their loyalty. With their combined forces, Lautaro still had the strength for one final assault. If they could take Santiago, Valdivia would have nowhere left to run. The Spanish would be crushed once and for all. As Lautaro assembled his army for the final march, he raised his spear and spoke to them in a voice that shook their very hearts. Brave men, I have heard your grumblings of surrender and peace. But what will peace bring us? Nothing but disgrace. You can either live in peace as Spanish slaves, or die with me as free men, protecting your land and your children. The only road to lasting peace, to freedom, is the road to Santiago! The crowd raised their weapons in unison and shouted, "To Santiago!"
The city of Santiago lies before us. We must defeat the Spanish here, or everything... we have fought for will be lost.
Are no cowards, but they will not fight for a lost cause. Let us kill every Spaniard in sight and show them what an army with fire in their hearts can achieve.
Why waste precious lives when words can achieve the same result? If you let me speak to the tribes, they will be back in the fold before Galvarino can wet his blades.
My blades thirst for Spanish blood!
Managed to rekindle ours, Lautaro. We will fight for you till the very end.
Is still being built. If we lay waste to the construction sites, we can prevent Valdivia from using these buildings.
my city! This crime will not go unpunished! Who would want to live in a place like this anyway? It's just square after square. Unnatural, this. Unnatural!
We have destroyed one of Santiago's districts!
For once we agree, Galvarino.
We have destroyed one of Santiago's districts! My beautiful city, reduced to rubble.
I will have your head for this! Let us crush this little rebellion under our heels. This farce has reached its final act.
Tim? Zeuman. Felei. Zeuman. 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 Zeuman.
Attack an enemy now.
He has forsaken us. We should never have left our homes in Cusco.
driven that spear through your heart when you were a boy. Alas, my greatest flaw was that I was too merciful. Freedom. At last.
As their swords clashed on the battlefield, it felt as though time had stopped. Lautaro could hear the blood rushing through his ears. Again and again, he swung his blade at Valdivia, the steel ringing out in a triumphant melody. He could see the fear in the Spaniard's eyes, and he relished every second of it. This is what he had lived for. He would avenge his parents, and no Mapuche child would ever grow up as an orphan again. When Valdivia's sword pierced his abdomen, Lautaro seized up. Yet his mind was so flooded with rage that he felt no pain. With a final swing, his sword struck true. The Spaniard's black eyes widened in shock. Before he could speak, he fell to the ground, his greedy spirit leaving his body. The hatred that had fueled Lautaro for so long seemed to evaporate. It was done. His life's mission was complete. Old memories flooded his mind, glimpses of a forgotten life. A young boy racing with friends, eating his mother's tortillas, swimming in the river on a hot day. As the momentary peace faded, Lautaro collapsed to the ground, overwhelmed by agony. Yet, as the blinding pain began to fade and his senses dimmed in his final moments, he knew he had succeeded. Lautaro died from his wounds that day, his oath to his parents and his people fulfilled. The Spanish fled our lands, and Caupolicán resumed his role as High Chief, with Galvarino as his second-in-command. The Mapuche had achieved a once unimaginable victory. If the Spanish dared to challenge them again, they would be ready to fight together as one.